Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and literally comment on anything. Thank you so much. So we are continuing in our series, Can You Find the Checkmate? This is puzzle number 3. So your goal is simply to find the mate in 2. It is white to play and checkmate in 2 moves. Pause the video now. As always, I want these puzzle videos to be educational and instructive. Otherwise, you could solve 27,400 puzzles on your own. These are the types of puzzles that I really enjoy because it's not likely you would see something like this on a puzzle app or a website like chess.com or Lichess. So a couple of things that we need to identify and realize right out of the gate. First of all, the queen, the black queen, is pinned to the black king. So this black queen will never be able to leave the first rank as long as our white queen stays on h1. The second thing we need to realize and understand is that we're not going to be able to do our traditional ladder checkmate with the 2 rooks if the black queen stays on g1 because our king would be in check with the black queen. So as you guys have heard me say many times on the channel, whether it's solving a puzzle or a position in a real game, if you're trying to figure out what to do, a lot of times using the process of elimination is helpful. So the next thing that we can immediately rule out is, what about taking the queen here? Well, that's not going to result in a mate in 2. If we take with the queen, then the king has a couple of squares. Let's say the king goes to b2, and then whatever we do from here, the king is going to have the freedom to have lots of different squares to go to get out of the next check. So any check here, we're going to the 3rd rank. Any check by the rook, we can go to the a file, go to the b file. So clearly, taking the black queen is not going to be an option for us. Again, using the process of elimination, we can actually rule out any queen move by black after the move that we play is white. So we already said that we're not going to be able to use both of our moves with using the 2 rooks because our king would be in check. Now, if the black queen moves off of the g1 square, that's true. That could be a checkmate. White could play something like rook to b5. And if the black queen goes to f1, then yes, rook to a6 would be a checkmate because there's no way for the black queen to stop this. But again, when you're solving puzzles, we have to assume the maximum resistance. We have to assume that your opponent or the computer is going to play the top engine move or the best move. So in this original position here, if we were to try to move one of our rooks to say the b file or the a file or whatever, we know that black needs to keep their queen here. Otherwise, they're going to make it very easy for us. Okay, the next thing that we can rule out using the process of elimination is we're not going to be able to use our first move as a checking move. If we use either the 2 rooks to check, say we use the 6th rank rook, then the king goes to b2, and clearly there is no mate in 2 here. That's not a mate with that rook. That's not a mate. Queen here's not a mate. Queen here's not a mate. And clearly the black king is going to have several squares to go to. So we cannot check with either the rooks. If you play the 5th rank rook, it's the same exact thing. What about if we play a check with the queen? What if we go to h8 check? Well, king goes to either b1 or to a2. So let's say we give a check here. And again, there's not going to be any kind of mate in 2. That's not a mate. That's not a mate. If we give a check first with the queen on a8, okay, king goes to either b1 or b2. And once again, we have no mate. Nothing with either the rooks, no mate with the queen. So that leads us to the conclusion that our first move cannot be a checking move. Okay, so we're making good progress here. Using the process of elimination, we know that the first move cannot be a checking move. We know that we cannot spend both of our moves on 2 rook moves because we know that the black queen is going to stay on g1 to offer maximum resistance. So that means that in order to checkmate in 2 moves, one of the moves has to be a rook move and another move has to be a queen move. Now, we know the first move cannot be a checking move. So that means that we're going to have to restrict the king's movement, right? You guys have heard me say this on the channel all the time. Tactics recognition, condition number 4 is restricted pieces. How do we restrict the king's movement? Well, clearly we're going to need to move one of the rooks to the b file, okay? If we move the queen to the b file first, let's say we go queen to b7 to try to restrict the movement here. Well, that's not going to result in a mate in 2 because what can black do here? Well, they could play several different things. They could play queen to b1, and any rook move here, the queen's just going to be able to block, right? So say we go here, then we just block with the queen, and now it's not a mate in 2 anymore. So that doesn't work. Okay, following that logic and putting all the pieces together, we know the first move must be a rook move to the b file. Well, which one? Or does it even matter? Let's take a look. If we move the fifth rank rook to b5, we know that the black queen has to stay on the g1 square. That leaves the king with one move to a2. And yep, you got it. We have checkmate on a8.
Bruh.
Whoops. Therefore, the correct solution to this puzzle is you must play the sixth rank rook to b6. King must go to a2, and then we deliver mate with the queen on a8, and the rook on b6 blocks the path of the black queen to get in the way and stop the mate. And that is a very, very cool puzzle. So congratulations if you guys found that. Hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you on the next one.